And Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah Bil Alameen. I'd like to welcome my brother Hakim Willis Jones to our program, one of our scholars and collectors program special that we're running through this month of February. Brother Hakim Jones, man, I forgot how I met him and when I met him. I know we've done a few programs together.
That's
Together.
right.
Uh, um, I've seen his exhibits, been to his house. I admire his collection. Uh, I'm amazed at his collections. You know, I've been blessed to meet two African American collectors. I was gonna say pretty large collectors. One was my brother went by so many names, but he's better known as Derek Bird. May Allah have mercy on him, forgive him for his sins, and accept him into paradise. Uh, and brother Hakeem, um, he's a Georgia-born guy, one of the Gullah guys, the Gullah people, the Bilal people, in the Crutch of Savannah, Georgia. So, brother Hakeem, I want to welcome you. Want people tell us your name, how old, uh, when you
Assalamu
came a
alaikum.
Muslim.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Willis Hakim Jones from Savannah, Georgia. I was born in 53. I'm 67 now. And I've been collecting for over 30 years. And the way I started was unusual. Of course, I went to high school and I didn't do well. And actually failed history. So I had to go to summer school for a history course to graduate out of high school. But the thing about all of this is the fact that when I started just general collecting. But when I became a Muslim in around 82, it changed my life. And it changed my life to the point where at one time I was a high school graduate. My mother was a college graduate. My aunt, we all grew up in the same house. And my mother wanted me to go to college. I was somewhat of a disappointment. But in 82, when I made that change and that transition, it changed my life. And when I started working, now this is an odd thing. I started working, it was a white guy that had a nervous condition that asked me for a ride for just 1 week. And that 1 week turned into 5 years. And in those 5 years, he learned about Islam, Imam W.D. Mohammed, and I learned about the business of collecting, because collecting is a hobby, but it's a business. And then if you're in America and you buy something for $10 and you can sell it for $1,000, that's a business. And it's a cutthroat business, and you have to know how to deal with it, who to go to, and you have to have money. So all of those were the elements of making me who I am. Now, why did I concentrate on certain subjects, especially the Nation of Islam? When I became a Muslim, I became acquainted with W.D. Farad, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Wallace D. Muhammad. I'm indebted to those people because they changed my life. And as I said, I mean, I was a college dropout, but when I came in contact with this, I was a disappointment to a certain degree to my mother. But in the end, my mother couldn't believe the things that I was doing. And she was a college graduate, and she had never been on the board of directors or anything. And I ended up being on the board of directors of a museum. And I'm the only one on the board of directors with a 12th grade education. And also, I had an experience where somebody found out about me and told this guy named Richard Naacp, who's an international photographer. And he was traveling around the country doing a photo book called American Dreamers. So when he found out about me, he came just to, photograph me and talk to me, because he was going all over the country, New Mexico, all different places. So it was a cut. certain people made the book, certain people wasn't going to make the book. So when it came over, he started asking me questions about my collection and all that. But of course, me being me, I headed in the direction of what made me. So when he finished, he said, "You know what, man? You're going to make the cut because I'm cutting some people out." He said, "But you know what you need to do? You need to write a book." So I told him, I said, "Why do I need to write a book when the books have already been written?" He said, "What do you mean?" So I ran upstairs and I got this book right here. It's called Diversity in El Islam by Imam W.D. Mohammed. He said, "You know what?" He said, "I got to read this book." And he's an international photographer. So the whole thing in a nutshell is Islam has changed my life. And the people that I came in contact with changed my life also. Another individual that was real important in my life was a guy that I met in college. His name used to be Marvin Castle. And he became a Muslim. His name became Majid Ali, Imam Majid Ali. He's got to be one of the smartest individuals I ever met. That's the closest thing I ever came to personally that had what I might say photographic memory. And you know, he told me one time, he said, "You know what, man?" He said, "If you read anything in the Quran or in the Bible and you can't apply it to your everyday life, it's useless." So now, what does this collection have to do with my everyday life? And I just explained, me being on the board, my wife and I operating a business. It's a first for both families, both my family and her family. We're the first. And neither one of us have a college degree. And I would attribute that to my connection with Wallace D. Muhammad, Imam W.D. Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, with his do for self ideas. And of course, we can't forget W.D. Farad. So that's how I really got started. I got involved. Now, let me tell you another thing that's important about collecting and knowing this history. If you don't collect and you don't know the history, people are going to tell it the way they want it to be. And I'll give you a quick example. About 7 years ago, the Library of Congress did a exhibit called Sailors and Daughters. And it was about Africans on the East Coast. Well, I'm gonna show you a quick picture of this. That's one, that's another. Now,
slow down on your picture. Slow it down. Okay, back it up a little bit. All right. Okay. All right.
Okay, so now, what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Okay, when the Library of Congress put that exhibit online, they let it stay online for a long time, but they had to take the comments down because they got real ugly. And the reason why is because the Africans on the West Coast said that's impossible for those to be Muslim women. Muslim women don't dress like that. Muslim women don't look like that. And they had some real ugly comments on there. So the Library of Congress had to take that comment section down from that exhibit. And the real reason why is because the Africans were ignorant of their own Islamic heritage in Africa. So now we have to deal with our situation, and I believe that we're going to be in the forefront of the world situation. Now, recently they just had a story about Black Baptist Church. It's unavoidable now. They have to tell the story about the Africans that came here that were Muslims. It was, I've forgotten the guy's name, but he's real famous historian, and he has this show that shows the history of individuals. Henry Louis Gates, he was the moderator. They went to Sapelo Island, the coast, they talked about Belial. But all of the time, this was supposed to be a story about the Black Baptist, the Black church in America. So they can't avoid it now. And the history is real, and it has a real impact on what's going on today. So all of these things, when you look at it, are extremely important to what's being done what Brother Mary Mohammed is doing, because when you think about it, you know, I'm sort of like back in the days they used to have witness bearing day. I kind of did a little witness bearing. If you talk to Amir, you talk to any other brother, you think about it. What would you have been doing today? Standing over a barbecue grill, waiting for the wife to fix you a pork chop and some potato salad? Hey, those people have changed our lives forever and our children. So that's why this is so important. So now I want to show a few things. I want to start off with Mr. Farad. This is a Muhammad Speaks, and this is 1963. And what was going on was William Randolph.
That is the original paper. That's the original paper.
Right. And William Randolph Hearst was the biggest news company owner in America at one time. And he put out in his newspaper that this was the real picture for Rod. Well, the reason why is because this individual had a prison record. And Elijah Muhammad put this paper out that says Nation of Islam offers Hearst $100,000 to prove charge. According to Elijah Muhammad, this is the real W.D. Farad. And this one right here is a fake that was in prison and had a long prison record. And here's an actual photograph that was used in Hearst's paper. Now, the next thing I want to show you is, just a minute, I need to get up. Be right back. The Black Muslims in America. Okay, this book was done by Dr. C. Eric Lincoln. Dr. C. Eric Lincoln was an instructor at Atlanta University in the 50s. And unusually, not really known is the fact that Dr. C. Eric Lincoln was the manager of a Negro League baseball team before he got into education. But anyway, he used to teach a class, and one of his students kept telling him about this temple. So he decided to go and take a look for himself. And when he went to the temple, he started going on a regular basis. And he told some of his colleagues, he said, y'all not gonna believe what's going on in Atlanta, Georgia. So he tried to persuade them to come, and he told them, look, this is a gold mine. He actually said that. He said, this is a gold mine as far as research is concerned and African Americans' history. So what he did was, they all kind of said, yeah. So he went on his own, and he asked for a audience with Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, this actually are the letters that he wrote to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, asking them, can I interview you for my book that I want to write? And on the first one, it says, Mr. C. Eric Lincoln, Commonwealth Avenue. Now he's in Boston now. In the name of, this is the reply. He replies, I received your letter July 27, 1959, and I'm sorry to be so late in replying. Please accept my apology. I should say it would be necessary for you to come here and talk to me again before I can give you any answer on helping you write a book. So this is the actual letter that Dr. C. Eric Lincoln wrote to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about writing Black Muslims.
The letter you just read is the one that Elijah Muhammad responded back to C. Eric Lincoln.
Yeah, this is his response, right? Yeah. So now, after he writes the book and really starts to studying and finding out how fascinating, the Nation of Islam is and the membership and all. So then he goes back to the head of the library at Atlanta University. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Atlanta University, right here in the South, has the largest collection, one of the largest collections of manuscript dealing with the African American. So he goes to the head librarian and says, look, this is important. Now we're talking about when a lot of people didn't want to have nothing to do with Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They looked at the Nation of Islam as a cult. But after Dr. Sierra Lincoln started doing research, he saw this was a serious movement and it was unusual. So he went to the library and he said, look, we need to make an appeal to this man. He's getting older. Let's see if we can get all of his papers from him. So now, here's the letter to Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Our mutual friend, Dr. Sierra Lincoln, has informed me that he recently had a conversation with you regarding your future plans of depositing your personal papers in a research library. Okay, now it goes on, but this is the librarian right here, Chief Librarian at Atlanta University. Now, this is the response. Trevor Arnett, Library, Atlanta University, Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, this is 1965. In the name of Allah, Assalamu alaikum, in the name of Allah, to whom all praises is due, gentlemen, thank you for your invitation of July 8th, 1965 to place my private papers in your institution. However, I must decline. So now, we don't know where those papers are, but he definitely didn't agree with giving those papers over to Atlanta University. Now, right here is a example of a letter that you would have to follow this form to get your X. And this is an actual one from the 1960s that was sent to you. And everything had to be perfect. All T's crossed, all sentences dotted. And this is actual, okay, now, here I have, now this one, this is the very first Muhammad Speaks, but it wasn't called Muhammad Speaks. It was called the Islamic News. Now you talk to a lot of older brothers and they said, no, Muhammad Speaks started in 1960. And what you're talking about isn't a real, isn't it Muhammad Speaks, it's something else. This is the first Muhammad Speaks. How I found out was I bought an order form from the 1960s from the distribution center in New York City. And it had all of the back issues that you could purchase for $1 right here. And now I started not to buy this because these little pieces of wrinkled up paper and they're all brown. They were like, the guy wanted like $50, but I said, no, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. Well, I'm happy I did buy it. Okay, Muhammad Speaks. On the back is the order form. You could order your back issues or whatever, and it goes all the way up. It stops at Confusion in This World, May 7th, 1965. Where does it begin? It says, Muhammad Speaks, Issue 1, Justice for My People, 1959. Issue 1, Islamic News, Justice for My People, 1959. So this is actually the first Muhammad Speaks newspaper.
Okay, very good. But back up, bring that paper back up, not the paper, but the handwritten one. No, the typed up one. So that they can see it clearly. So bring it down a little bit slower. No, we can see the first one. All right, slow it right there. Justice for Peace. Yeah, very good. Very good. Very good. All right, done deal. Done deal. That validates it.
Okay. So now, what I want to talk about is early photographs. Okay, in the 1930s, they used to refer to the Nation of Islam as a cult. And of course, Elijah Muhammad and his early followers refused to go into service. So now, here's a photograph of the men being arrested for refusing to go to service in World War II. And in the Nation of Islam, in the newspaper, were referred to as the fifth column. And that whole idea is the fifth column, definition of fifth column is a group within a group that works to undermine the major group, go against. And I think it has some reference to the Trojan horse and that fifth leg that they were unaware of, but they were referred to as the fifth column. So now, what happens? Most of the men go to jail. So now who has to run the Nation of Islam? Many of the women. But these are the women that went down to the police barracks to see how the men were being treated. This is around 1941, 42. These photographs are around 1941, 42. Now, the thing is, I got a whole series of these photographs. How did I come in possession of these photographs? What happened was, it was some young white guys that realized that a lot of newspaper companies were going out of business. So they went around the country and bought all of their archives. These photographs probably were no more than 5 or 10 cents a piece. Some of these photographs are worth $2,000 and $3,000 now. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable, all of the things. The only photograph that I found that was actually published is in this photograph right here. This photograph is published, and it's published in the Coretta Scott King series of African-American leaders. Elijah Muhammad, religious leader, Coretta Scott King. Okay. Here's that same photograph right here in this book. That's the only one I've ever seen that's been published.
Okay.
Okay, now, let's go to, okay, the Nation of Islam was an enigma. The Nation of Islam is the most unusual organization ever formed in America, period. Well, some people say, what about these satanic groups and all of that? All you got to do is go back and look at European history, and you'll find all of those groups, every one of them. But you'll never find nothing like the Nation of Islam. What makes the Nation of Islam so unique? First of all, it's sitting in the middle of the most powerful nation in the world. And it's calling the people that live in there devils. Elijah Muhammad stuck out like a sore thumb all over the world. They couldn't ignore it. He was known all the way to the Pope. The Pope knew who Honorable Elijah Muhammad was. Now, here's a New York World Telegram news article, and says, I watched the Black Muslim secret meeting. And this is dated 1964. And what this is doing is exposing, so-called exposing the Nation of Islam. But it was Mike Wallace that came with the program The Hate That Hate Produced. Right. And he really was the one that kind of put the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on the map. I remember Imam Mohammed was saying that he used to hear his daddy walk around talking about that damn Mike Wallace. And he said, you know what, I knew in the back of my mind, my daddy was happy Mike Wallace put him on the map the way he did. So that was, that's a little bit.
But I think that he was mad at Mike Wallace because Mike Wallace used the coin, that's where they first used the coin, black hatred. I think that's
that's right. That's right. But then Mike Wallace got at he in a subtle way got to a point that a lot of people a lot of whites didn't understand. These people that hate you, you hated them first. And that's why I called it the hate that hate produced. If you didn't hate them, and in essence, what does that have to do with the reality of that time? If you continue to hate these people, guess what? This organization that you see now, it's going to grow larger and more of them are going to come about. So you need to rethink about what you're doing. So now, let's go to another thing. This is the book that was real popular in the 70s. It's called This Is the One by Bernard Cushman. This is an actual photograph of him and a newspaper article. And it referred to him as Minister Bernard Cushman of the Islam Black Muslim Church is a man much obsessed with ideas of violence. So, and this is another reason we need to get back to why it's so necessary to know our history, because you're going to be defined any kind of way, and you're not going to be able to retaliate intelligently if you don't know what you really believe in and what your history is all about. So now, let's go to one of Honorable Elijah Muhammad's one of his most faithful ministers, Minister Isaiah Kareem from Baltimore. Yeah. This photograph was taken probably 60, 61. But anyway, Isaiah Kareem was a faithful, Honorable Elijah Muhammad had faithful followers. And as time moved on, things began to change. And that's why it was so necessary for Imam Muhammad to make so many drastic changes. Because some of these early people were sincere people. The people that came along later, they were
wanted to get the fruit from their labor.
Yeah, self-serve. So
well,
now,
let me put a footnote there. You know, Isaiah Kareem came up out of Washington, D.C. And they sent Washington, D.C., sent them into Baltimore. And before Isaiah Kareem went to Baltimore, who came out of D.C. at the early time that was supporting Elijah Muhammad when they got arrested was Minister Sultan out of Milwaukee, Isaiah Kareem, James Shabazz, who went to Baltimore first. And then after when Elijah Muhammad got arrested, he wound up going and got out of jail. It moved him up to Newark. And Isaiah Kareem wound up going to Baltimore. And that's how they came very, very productive, very successful, man. And they're very well admired and respected.
Well, you know, the thing about this is what's really important about what you're doing today is the fact that it's going to take a lot of people to identify a lot of these people, because a lot of these people, no written records, no documentation, and justifiably so, because if other people did the work, then the records wouldn't be correct. So it's upon us to do the work like you're doing right now. So now here's another photograph of Minister Isaiah Kareem and his family. So he got a lot of press coverage when he was in Baltimore. So then
I remember that picture.
Okay, so now this photograph was taken, I think it was 1961 or 1960, when Honorable Elijah Muhammad went to the temple in Baltimore. And I have another photograph. I don't see it right now. But anyway, here it is, right here. Unfortunately, it's blurry, but I can make out in this photograph in the temple at that particular day, Honorable Elijah Muhammad standing here, and right here is Imam W.D. Muhammad, right next to his
question.
1960.
No question.
Right.
No question.
So now, here's an impressive picture of all of the brothers standing outside,
That's
waiting
right.
for the entrance of Elijah Muhammad. They're waiting for him. Okay, so now the crowd is so large that they can't fit in there, so they had chairs set up on the outside. So just everyday people could come and see see him because
Wow.
he drew a lot of attention. The Nation of Islam drew a lot of attention because they had never seen men dress and behave the way they do. So there was a curiosity and an interest amongst the common people in Baltimore to find out who is this man and who are these people. So now the next thing is, and here's another photograph of some of them. They didn't even have chairs. Some of them just sat on the stoop next to the temple, right there. So now, okay, now I'm gonna jump from Baltimore and go to Atlanta, Georgia. All right, so now a long time ago, I found this newspaper article in a local black newspaper, African-American newspaper, says Negro History Lecture, a complete history of the Negro before and during and after slavery, every Sunday, 8 p.m., Masonic Temple. And, you know, you have those questions, who is this, who is that? If the Negro mentioned, is the Negro mentioned in the Bible? But anyway, to the very bottom it says, for information about these lectures, write to Mr. Thomas X. Bennett, 101009 West Broad Street, Savannah, Georgia. So I had this for a long time, but I never could figure out what this was all about.
Pick it up higher, pick it up higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I knew it was something connected because he had an X in his name. And this is like 1950, 59, somewhere around that, 57. So now this is connected to this photograph. Now this is the photograph of the early members of the Temple, Nation of Islam in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was old brother from Philadelphia, Richard Hassan, a good friend of mine who passed away not too long ago. When he saw this picture, he couldn't believe I had this photograph. He said, those people are not from Atlanta, Georgia. He said, they're from Philadelphia. I said, yeah, but the picture was taken in Atlanta. He said, yeah, it was taken in Atlanta because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sent them to Atlanta from Philadelphia to start temples. And one of the guys that was sent, a couple of them went down to Jacksonville, Florida, different places in Georgia. And one of them that was sent was Thomas X. Bennett that was sent. And Richard Hassan said, you know, he said, I know Thomas Bennett. He was a friend of mine. And he named every one of the individuals in this photograph, I think except for one or two sisters. He said, but they're all from Philadelphia. So that was, and then the article says, this is a local Atlanta paper, says Muslims expand open store here. Black supremacy group reportedly has hardcore 40 in Atlanta area. Now this is-
Now
this
point
is,
now, now point to the third brother, that's the Imam, was the minister. So everybody can know that, yes. No, the next one. Right there, that one. Take the glare off that. He was the minister. There's a newspaper article that was in Pittsburgh Courier that had his picture of him with Malcolm and Lucius and all of them.
right.
And his picture was up in there.
There you go. There you go.
But
Yeah.
He was the minister. I think it was Henry, I think was his name, maybe.
Yeah, but I can't find the paper that Richard Hassan wrote on, but inshallah, I'll be able to, because on the back of that, I did a photocopy of this, and he wrote on the back all of the names and who they were. So now, what I want to talk about now is, let's see. This picture right here. This was a big day. And if I'm wrong, you can correct me, brother and Mayor. I think it was the day when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's niece or nephew got married. And they had the first annual parade in Chicago. And right here is a cutout from Muhammad Speaks. It says parade, and it talks about the parade that's coming. Here's the actual button that was issued at the parade. And this is some of the floats. And of course, this is either his niece or his nephew. that got married. So all of this took place on the same day.
And that's our supermarket. They went by, that was the Muslim supermarket, our supermarket.
That's right. That's right. So now, in the these are some of the floats that were in the parade. And as I said, one of his nieces, either his niece or his nephew. I knew it at one time, but well, you know, me getting to be an old man, I should write down every word I hear now because I can't remember all of this stuff. But it was a real big, important day for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his family. And for them to show all of the accomplishments that they've achieved since he started. So that's what this is all about. So now I'm going to talk about, let me talk about this.
Thank you. I was holding my tongue. Oh, I thought, I was holding my tongue because you kept seeing it in the background.
Yeah. Okay. This is a book written by Claude Andrew Clegg, and he was on C-SPAN, and he gave a lecture about his book. Since then, he's gone on to do other things. I really don't know where he is, but I know this was important that he did. But anyway, when I was looking through the book, I happened to run across this statement. It says, Muslim women work as day laborers and perform odd jobs for supplement household to supplement household and temple income. Some lost found, such as Pauline Bahar, who fixed meals for the food of Islam, became known among the temple people as exemplary, altruist, and model Muslim. Well, I just happened to find in old news photographs a picture of her. Yeah. And then also the
pick it up high. There you go. Yeah.
And then also news clipping. She was arrested and most likely for not sending her children to public school.
That's right.
Most of the men arrested for draft evasion. Most of the women arrested for not sending their children to public school. Honorable Elijah Muhammad ran a tight ship. And certain things definitely weren't allowed. And the whole thing was, the only way I can change these people is to cut them completely off from the society that they live in. And that's exactly what he did. He cut everybody off. And if you were caught outside of the boundaries, I think Imam Mohammed said it was on a Wednesday night or whatever, they have court and bring you before the member and
put you in the class, whatever it be long.
And you give you whatever, expulsion for so many days, a complete expulsion.
Yeah. Put you in the class. Yeah, man. Yeah. Classy and everything else, man.
So now this is one of later on in Elijah Muhammad's leadership, this is one of his famous ministers, Joe Tex. This is a photograph of Joe Tex as an entertainer, and he signed it right here. And this is a photograph of Joe Tex giving a lecture as a minister in the temple. So Joe Tex was a popular musician. And if y'all don't know who he is, he made the song "Ain't Gonna Bump No More with That Big Fat Woman." But he made money.
Skinny legs and all. He did skinny legs and all.
That's right.
But you know, he married this Muslim sister, the first captain in Washington D.C. His daughter, Yaya's daughter, Joe Tex married her. I have a photograph of him.
All right.
And then married her.
Okay, now this was let me show you. This was an important period in the Nation of Islam when Ronald Stokes was murdered in Los Angeles. And this is the kind of real big rift that begins between Malcolm and and Elijah, because Malcolm went out to California. He saw the situation, and he somewhat got emotionally involved in it.
You want to do something?
Yeah, and he went back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said, we need to do something. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad kind of like shrugged him off. But the thing about Honorable Elijah Muhammad was he was a tactician.
That's right.
You know, Imam Wazdi Muhammad, I think, put it the best way. He said he was one of the only men he knew that could juggle nitroglycerin up without blowing his own self up.
I hear that. I hear that.
So Malcolm wanted to take probably physical action or whatever, but Elijah Muhammad shrugged him off, but he had a plan, and his plan was to deal with it in this way. He publicized it over and over again. Now here's another
word.
Huh?
The pen was more powerful than the sword.
That's right. Here's another Muhammad Speaks newspaper. LA courts sets Donald Wise free, murderer free. So here the one who the individual that killed Ronald Stokes. What happened was they claimed to have had a disturbance at the temple. So LA police went down there and they just opened fire, and for no probable cause. And some were wounded, and Ronald Stokes ended up being killed. So now, this is an actual photograph of an officer standing over Ronald Stokes, laying down as he lay dead. And no ambulance, nothing. So this is the actual photograph. Now, what happens is, a couple of days later, this individual, Henry Morris, is the minister at the LA Temple, and here he is shown protesting the unjust treatment of Muslims in LA. And you see, he's holding Muhammad Speaks. We must have justice. Here's an actual copy of the Muhammad Speaks newspaper that he's holding in his hand. We must have justice. Now, let's go to Muhammad Speaks. This is the Muhammad Speaks newspaper plant and warehouse and cold storage. That's one of the important things that Elijah Muhammad pushed: business development. And his son, Imam Muhammad, followed suit, because they understood that we've been cut out of the business world. And as Imam Muhammad stated, he said what they gave us was a religion full of emotionalism and kept us out of the real world. And ultimately, they wanted to keep us out of the competition. So now, I'll give you a quick example. About a year ago, C-SPAN did they go on Saturdays, they go around to different cities and give you tours. They went to Memphis, Tennessee. So, of course, you know, the Lorraine Motel and where Martin Luther King was killed. So the guy that was on the tour, and they had C-SPAN cameramen and all that going around, they took them different places. So anyway, he got to talk to one of the councilmen. And he asked the councilman, he says, what's the racial population here? He says, 40% white, 60% black. So he says, well, what's the business representation 20 years ago? He said, blacks own only 20% of the businesses in Memphis, even though we're 60% of the population. He said, well, what is it now? He said, the same number, 20%. Unbelievable numbers. And if anybody did a survey, I don't care if it's Washington, D.C. or wherever, you got those same numbers hovering around each other. I mean, you know, Atlanta is supposed to be known as the black capital of black business people and ownership and all of that. But I can't think of the word, but NPR did a study of disparity in cities. Atlanta, Georgia is #1 with the richest and poorest people in America, the #1 city. So this whole thing about emotionalism and taking us out of reality is a real thing, a real thing. Now, much of it can be attributed to we were held back and this, that, and the other, but ultimately, the whole thing, the real thing is that we have not gotten that lesson that Elijah Muhammad taught many, many years ago. Go for self, do for self. The very thing that inspired me. You got a lot of people, a lot of ministers and all now trying to motivate business, but right now they're kind of stuck. And the reason why they're stuck is because Black people, even though they're not in business, they have a lot of money. And money brings problems. So a lot of their membership got mental issues that they have to deal with. So, and I'm not just people that go to church, a lot of Muslims, you know, have a lot of money. Black people have a lot of money, but they have issues. And these issues have to be dealt with. And of course, you know, it's more African-American Christians that are. So a lot of ministers have to deal with that. But I still don't hear that message of business. I don't see it. And that's what Imam Muhammad used to deal with all the time. But he understood, you know,
my brother, I want to, if I can, I want to invite you to our round table. This is the type of discussion we want to have at our round table. Okay. So if you want to come back after we finish, please, because this is kind of discussion. I'm going to hold my tongue because you got to talk about your history piece.
All right.
Please come back to join us on our round table.
Okay.
At 5 o'clock today.
So now what I wanted to say was that the last time that I have publicly shown this exhibit was at Mayor's Museum. And that's been years ago. So now that's telling me that it's going to be hard showing this exhibit. And it's telling me that I need to do something about that. So now something that I learned from Imam Muhammad, and Imam Muhammad got it from the Quran. He said sometimes the best approach is the indirect approach. So now I'm saying to myself, well, how can I get this to be shown more publicly? So I thought about it, and Allah blessed me with the answer because I ain't no smart man. I started collecting a civil rights exhibit. And I realized if I included the Nation of Islam in the civil rights exhibit, it's like, okay, you're going to see one thing, but boom, there's something else. So now,
well, Elijah teach you, he said, be wise as a serpent and humble as a dove, right?
That's right. That's right. So you know that's what I've been doing now. I've been collecting civil rights material, and I mean the reality is.
What are some of the exciting material that you got on the civil rights?
Well, I tell you what, I got letters signed by Roy Wilkins, photograph of one of them is a rare photograph of Martin Luther King holding up the picture of Swerner and those that were murdered. I got the 1915 anti-lynching NAACP anti-lynching poster. And I got letters, photographs, all sorts of things, just dealing with Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois. Oh, and then I got a whole section on the NAACP and how the White Citizen Council and other groups tried to connect the NAACP movement to the Communist Party. And that's a real intriguing, interesting, because the Communist Party did send some of their members down south in the early 20s and 30s. And what happened was when they went, and the whole reason for the Communist Party up north to send people down south was because they thought they could increase their ranks. So their interest was one thing, decrease their ranks. but many of the individuals that came down here saw how bad it was and saw how terrible. So they actually really got involved in justice for Blacks. And one of the most famous cases is the Scottsboro Boys. The Communist Party was heavily involved in the Scottsboro case. But as I said, their interest at headquarters and in the Soviet Union was one thing, but when they got there and headquarters started complaining to some of the members that they sent down there, how come y'all not doing what we sent y'all down there? And they explained, hey, y'all don't know how bad it is down here. It was so bad that it was Desi Gillespie that made a song said, I'll never go back to Georgia. And the band used to play, and then it stopped playing, and all of the band members would be shouting, "I'll never go back to Georgia." Yeah, because it was rough down here. So
Georgia and Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi, Alabama.
They still trying, boy. They need that. That's a disease of the heart. Look, that's another part of the conversation. Look. We only got a few minutes left. What do you have about Imam Muhammad collection? And then we want to open up to see if anybody got any questions.
Okay, all right. Right here is a photograph of Imam Muhammad. And then this is the first group that he took over to make Hajj in 1977. Let's see, this individual right here is a good friend of mine. He's a fellow Savannah. He's an old man now, but he used to own a barbershop. And he lived in California.
Picking up pie.
Okay, he lived in he lived in California, and he moved back, and we know him as El Hajj. And he was a character. You know, because if you dress well and came to the masjid, he said, "I see you, brother, with your royal robes on." So he was a character, but he was one of the first ones to go on Hajj with Imam Muhammad. Okay. All right. Now, right here, a little known that when Imam Muhammad came into office, 75, they struck a coin to commemorate it. And here's one of these coins, and it's really rare. And how I got this was I traded this with a guy that lived in Chicago, and I think he collected black circus material, but he had this and he wasn't really interested in it. And I said, man, nobody hardly ever seen this before. So it was a good trade, yeah. But this is the only coin ever struck with the image of Imam Muhammad on it. Okay. So
did his brother Herbert produce that?
Probably so. Probably so, because I'll show you right here. I hate to digress. This is a souvenir that was sold at the 1967 Savior's Day. And it's a drawing of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Sister Clara Muhammad, and down to the says by Herbert Muhammad Jr. So he financed this in '67. Yeah. So here's a booklet / program put out when Imam Muhammad came into office, and here he is showing meeting with Sadat. Yeah. So this is a pivotal point. This is a point where the world community of Islam here in the West actually became a real international organization. Real international organization. So now, I'm trying to think of Imam Muhammad's most important Arabic teacher. Jamil Diab. This is a photograph of Jamil Diab's family. This is his wife and the children right here. This was taken in the early 60s. Yeah. So now, let's see. This is Living City. This is the magazine, the official magazine of the folklore movement. Now, a lot of Catholics I talked to never heard of the folklore movement, but it's a real important movement and a part and a branch of the Catholic Church. And the founder and the leader, she's passed now, her Kira Lubick, but she became real close friends with Imam W.D. Muhammad. Now, about maybe about a month, 2 months ago, I had 8 Caucasian students and 3 teachers to come over to my house. And I had it where I had them distance from me. And I gave them a talk. And I said, you know what's really strange about Imam Muhammad? And I told them, they came to hear a lecture about civil rights. But you know what? That strategy that I came up with is working. You see what I'm saying? Because they came for one thing and I gave them another. So I told them, I said, you know what's really strange about Imam Muhammad? I said, the man collected 1 million signatures to get rid of the imagery in the Catholic Church and all other churches. I said, but the man was invited by the Pope himself and met him 2 times. So that was a nod of the head to Imam Muhammad and the rest of us. You know what, man? You're on the right track. So
look, bro, you're gonna got me again. Look, if you listen to Biden's priest minister when he get at the inaugural, what he said, in the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful, is what he said.
Yeah,
and that's Bismillah Rahman.
That's right. That's right. Brother from Dallas, Texas, that's in Jacksonville. He calls Biden Yusuf, the coat of many colors, and he's got another name for him. But anyway, he says this man is totally different from what we've been seeing in the past, and I can see what he was saying. Now this is Horizon magazine commemorating Imam Muhammad when he passed away in 2008. Yeah, but anyway, this is one of posters from him giving lectures. He spoke all over everywhere. I met him 2 times. Let me see what else I got here. Oh, goodness.
And while he's doing that, is there anybody that's online watching have any questions? Just raise your hand or say something. Go ahead.
You want me to go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is a 1960s photograph of Imam Muhammad, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and you can tell by the back of his head that that's Imam Muhammad being hugged by his father. And here's a early article, The Impact of Islam on Black Men, The Fruit of Islam, Minister W.D. Muhammad. Okay, so now.
And what year was that?
I think this is around 19, right when he did come in office. About It might be. Okay. I believe it's earlier. It's earlier. It's earlier because I can see Muhammad Ali. Yeah, he looks like a real young man.
I wonder if that was when he was in Philadelphia.
It might have been. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. Now let me show you another kind of enigma in the Nation of Islam, which makes it so unusual. This is a photograph of Dorothy.
Ferdinand.
Yeah, but her name was Dorothy Darcy. And Dorothy Darcy was married to a member of the Black Panthers. And what happened was many of the members of the Black Panthers joined the Nation of Islam. And at the time that her husband joined the Nation of Islam, she couldn't be a member because she was white. So the minute Imam Muhammad got in office and he dropped all of those barriers that his father set up, she joined. She's the first white person to actually join the Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. So now, here's a book that she wrote. It's called Message to the White Man and Woman in America, Yaqub and the Origins of White Supremacy. Right. So the Nation of Islam and Imam Mohammed, hey, they have produced some really unusual people. Really. Yeah.
Mashallah. My brother, we ran out of time, man. This is thrilling. Any close, and I want to be fair, anybody got any questions or anything? Okay, I see none. My brother, any closing comments?
The only closing comment I have is there's another brother that I know. He's a young brother, and he has a big collection like I have, and it covers a lot of things. And I had a discussion with him, and he's out of Detroit, and I'm not gonna call his name. But anyway, he's a strong supporter of Farrakhan. So I met him, and I called him and talked to him and had to talk to him. And I said, look, man, this collection that you have, it's important, but it's not as important as you. I say, and the reason why I say that is because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create duplicates of yourself, not the collection. And I said, that's the main thing about what I'm doing. Even you want somebody to not have the things that you have at the museum, but have the mind that you have that created the museum. So
yeah, man. And have them everywhere. He said I have places everywhere. Our history is everywhere.
That's
you know,
right.
and there's a culture tourism. It's a culture created dollar that's out there.
That's right. So I think that's the most important thing is to remember. I was the guy in his 20s sitting in a nightclub next to some guys that was pimps that was my friends. And look where I am now. And look what I'm doing now. And why? Because of all of these people that I've shown you. Allah first, but all of these people that I've shown you were responsible for me being right here and right now with you. And that's the point that I want to make.
All right. Thank you, my brother. I say Allahu Akbar, man. Mashallah. And please come back. We are going to start, I believe it is at 4 o'clock, the roundtable discussion. Come back and join us.
Okay.
We'd like to hear your insight.
And thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you. To be continued.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah reward you.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.